Hello YouTubers, it's a quick video on what to do when you're changing your shocks out in your Nissan Titan. First couple things you gotta do: remove the bottom bolt. It's right there. There's 3 bolts up top to move, there, and one behind. Do not remove the center nut. That will keep the top plate on your coilover when you remove the entire shock and coilover. Remember, only move that one and the 3 in a triangle pattern, not the center one. Once you do that, I remove this bar as it's providing pressure onto my rotor, and I will remove this nut as it is also applying pressure, and I'm not able to swing down the arm that's holding in my shock. So once I remove that, I'll show you more. Alright, after a little bit of persuasion, I got that top arm off. If you remove the bolt, you remove the pin, remove the bolt, you just have to tap on the bottom a little bit. Don't mess up the threads. Trust me, it does come off. It might be stuck on there pretty hard due to age, but just keep tapping it and that arm comes off. You can see all the pressure that we brought off, which leads us now to remove the shock. I put a jack stand underneath to kind of hold everything up a little bit. Make sure you don't have any pressure on when you're removing the shock, or you won't be able to move this bar down at all. Also, once you take this arm, it does connect to your gearbox. Make sure you don't pull the arm and your brake out towards you, or you'll start to leak fluid. We had an incident with that yesterday, so just leave that be. And now we are going to work on the shock. You can use a bar. It seems like it's jammed in there, but all I had to do was keep on prying and prying underneath, and it finally popped loose. So persistence will work. Just keep at it and it will pop out for you. Okay, now with a little bit of prying, I'll show you, I was able to pop it out of the hole right there. I got stuck on this bar on the last one too. You just gotta kind of pop it up and it will slide out all in one swift motion. So you can see all the bolts are taken out. The one in the middle is still there. Got all the arms disconnected. Now I'm going to be able to pop it out. Okay, I use that bar to pop out my shock and coilover that you see here. Still got that one top that's holding this entire plate on. Now you'll need to either go to your store and rent these, or you can go to a shop and they can take the shock out of the spring. These are easy. You can just rent them for free with a small deposit. And you line them up on the springs and you just screw. You do 3 screws on one side, 3 screws on the other side. Just make sure you have them on each side once you lock them in. And you can see I got both of the spring compressors on. I'm using just a wrench. Screw in one, screw in the other, go back and forth. This is the new shock. So I kind of measure it out. Once the shock starts compressing in, where this piston is much longer than the other piston, I know I have reached past the point where the spring is holding it out. Then you can start undoing the bolt. You're going to have to use a clamp on this, maybe spray some WD-40 or something in there to get some of the corrosion off, and then undo that bolt while you're holding this, and this will remove the plate. You'll slide everything out, put the new shock in. You should be able to figure this part out, but the bolt comes out, and then the whole top plate you can remove, and then you'll take the shock out. Okay, we got the shock in. Here was my secret though. I had a second person help me as I sat down and I held this to line up these 2 bolts. I had a second person bouncing this bottom bar, and I slid this part in between here and the 2 top bolts slid in. And then once I slid the bottom of the shock right here, he kept bouncing and popped right in there. There you go. Now I'm going to pry it back into place, start over, redo my bolts, screw those back in, screw that back in, then tighten up my last bolts.